Justin and Jody talking about Boomerang for Parents, an app that takes the battle out of screen time with your kids or teens or tweens. And now, Justin, I think we should talk a little bit about how Boomerang for Parents could maybe help in classrooms and help teachers. Because do you think teachers have issues with kids who bring devices into class?
My guess would be yes, especially nowadays.
Was that the most rhetorical question in the history of the universe?
Pretty thick.
Yeah.
Pretty thick. Yeah.
But how do you manage that? Even if you have a no phones in class rule, kids are still.
Yeah, I mean, some kids are pretty sneaky. They'll keep their phones in their bags, so they don't even check them in at the front of the class. So that's part one. I think with teachers is being aware that there's an app like Boomerang that could help them mention it to the parents of maybe kids that are having challenges with maybe step one.
You know what? That's a great idea, and it just dawned on me. Honestly, just dawned on me that in my son's class, he's going into grade 6. We all are on an email chain with the teacher. That's how you communicate with teachers in 2018, is that everybody's got each other. It could be as simple as putting out that blast to the classroom of parents and saying, if everybody downloads this app and agrees to put the only text mom, message mom, or phone mom as the only things that a kid can do between 9 and 3, that could really help.
100%. We keep distractions down, right? I mean, most of the times parents get a phone to just keep track of their kids.
Right.
They don't realize that the kids don't care about that part.
So going into a classroom, maybe we should think about doing that and going and talking to teachers about how to utilize this app. Because I know a lot of teachers who would be like, I don't know if we should download something that we would use in our class. There's a little bit of twitchy, about the whole who's controlling what.
I mean, the reality, the best part would be to involve the parent community.
Right.
I think using teachers that have this challenge as kind of the voice, the messenger of, hey, I know of a solution.
A local solution, a Canadian solution, a Vancouver-built app that doesn't want to steal your information. Like, that was big for me. I'm big on privacy. And this, for me, was a big key, that all that's involved is my email. And it doesn't even have to be my main email in my home.
You could create one just for it if you want.
Right?
Yeah,
create a Gmail address, boomerang@gmail, blah, 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 or whatever, and sign it up for yourself and use it. And then it gives you what? When you sign up for Boomerang and you're going back to school and in a classroom, you can put what on it? Restrictions, screen time?
All of the above. I mean, to be specific, you can actually go down and say during school hours, only certain apps work, which is pretty big. That way you talked about, calling mom, calling dad, texting mom and dad, that's it. No social media distractions. I mean, we've heard of schools having to log down their Wi-Fi because there's too much Snapchat going on or YouTube or Netflix going on during free blocks or lunchtime. So the reality is the Wi-Fi at school should be used for education.
It might even be that, there are iPads in almost every classroom now that kids are creating on and using for learning purposes. It might be a good idea to put a Boomerang app on those iPads for a classroom with the teacher's main address as the way to control all of those.
Definitely lots of options based on how the school wants to monitor and control these devices so they keep distractions down, right?
I love that idea. And they'd get that report. They'd know exactly who was using what when if they wanted to just see. Because you don't have to have all the restrictions on.
No, it's very flexible. That's the beautiful thing about it. We can be as restrictive as you want based on your parenting style, or you can be as liberal as you want based on your parenting style.
And I like the trust them until they step over the boundary. And that's really how I laid things down with my son, who's, as mentioned, 10 and a half. And Thinky really loves his screen time. And when I told him about Boomerang for Parents, he was like, what does this mean? Because he thought, does that mean I don't get YouTube anymore? And I said, kind of, because I'm going to put a restriction on there that the content can only go so far. And he's like, will I still be able to see PewDiePie or whatever? I'm like, I don't know. We're about to find out. Right? But I'm not over his shoulder every second like I may have been a year ago, because we get out of the routine of doing that. So now Boomerang for me is my over the shoulder. And when I get that email the next day that gives me the rundown of what he has done, and I love the fact that he can't download an app without it being approved by me first. I get a little notification that says he'd like to download fill in the blank application, game. It's usually a game. And he knows that we keep it under 12 plus. He's 10 and a half, but I've given him to 12 plus. But don't even ask me for a teen, mature 14.
Mom will not approve.
Will not. But he will ask me first, and then he'll say, I'm sending you a notification. and then I'll look at it and I'll, okay, because it does show you what.
Well, the beautiful thing is you've started at that average age where kids are getting their first smartphone, and I think that's very important because you're dealing with behaviors that are going to be not as aggressive, or they've already had a smartphone for 3-4 years, and they've already built their behaviors around how they use the phone and all that, and the apps they download. Applying this at an early age is quite important. It's like anything, training wheels on a bike, right? We've all learned with training wheels, so do the same thing with your smartphone. App approvals is very important, but we know that YouTube is probably where kids spend most of their time. And even our own stats in general show that. And you look at anywhere online, YouTube is pretty much TV for kids now.
Yeah.
One thing that's very unique for us is that we allow parents to see the YouTube history from the YouTube app. So that nobody else does that today, and because most kids will spend most of the time, their screen time, say their 1 hour allocation a day, will be spent on YouTube. You want to just keep an eye on that. We do allow parents to enable a restricted mode on YouTube, so it's a little safer.
Yeah.
But no filter is perfect, obviously. So at least you can see what kind of searches they're doing and what kind of videos they've been watching.
It is invaluable, especially as you're watching your preteen head toward those teenage years where they are going to explore the boundaries, and the availability of what's out there now is a little bit terrifying for parents. So this is a huge help, I think. And going back to teachers, being able to put them in a position of being able to maybe monitor that or work with parents on what is your child looking at. Like maybe that email report of the next day could be something that's shared with teachers.
It gives you points of conversation starters, and that's what I like to call it, is like use the app as a conversation starter based on maybe like a website that was visited or an app that was installed, or hey, why are you spending 2 hours on Instagram on weekends? Like your whole allocation of time is used on Instagram. What's happening on Instagram? Because that's the kind of thing that you want to see. Or did the behavior change? They used to spend an hour on Instagram every day. Now it's down to 10 minutes. Maybe something's up. Maybe something was said. Maybe something was seen. Those are real things we can give you as hints as parents as well by having that daily report.
And that going back to why an Android is perhaps superior to an iOS device when it comes to the Boomerang for Parents app is that you get that list of scary words that might be used in a text, which also is a tool that teachers and parents can use because sometimes kids are different when their parents aren't around.
Yeah, and we've noticed that even with our own kids and other users' kids, friends of ours, that the language can be incoming or outgoing. So that's important to know, and we can detect keywords that you can enable. We already have a default list, but you can also add your own words, and this could be wide-ranging. It could be profanity words, but it could also be words that are maybe likely to make you think maybe something's going on mentally or some abuse or something like that, which are important subjects. Could be anything.
Yes, and we're hearing more and more that kids are anxious and depressed and affected because of excessive screen time or online bullying, which of course is a big topic in school. So maybe this is a way to sort of help narrow the focus on who's being bullied or who is maybe the bully.
Or false positive. Sometimes there's also just getting in there early can prevent it from going further.
Right, to know that there's somebody watching and somebody helping. And really that's what Boomerang for Parents is. It's building a community to take the battle out of being online as a teen.